Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of The Fate of the Furious. To the dismay of film snobs everywhere, I love the Fast and Furious franchise, and I don't mind that we're at the 8th installment of said franchise. I will say that I do think the 7th one ended so perfectly, and I think it wrapped up the franchise beautifully. So I was a little bit disappointed that they followed the money train and went on to make another one. Having said that, I was still pretty excited to see it, and I have to say, it was pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about The Fate of the Furious. So when talking about the positives in this franchise, I just have to say the biggest positive is that it hits on every note I'm expecting from a good, solid Fast and Furious entry. First of all, our entire cast of characters is back in the saddle here, and they are all fulfilling the roles I need them to fulfill. Vin Diesel is Vin Diesel. I mean, he can play Dom in his sleep. He doesn't have a whole lot to do here, but I think he's good. Same with Michelle Rodriguez. She plays Letty as we expect her to play Letty, and that's all we really want. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is hilarious and entertaining and charming as ever, and we love him for it. Ludacris and Tyrese are wonderful. They play the comedic roles. Jason Statham is so at home in this type of role between Spy and now this movie. Comedic action is his sweet spot, so I hope he realizes that and keeps it moving. But then we have Charlize Theron, who I thought was very good here, as well as people like Kurt Russell was good. Scott Eastwood, he was fine, I guess. And then we had Helen Mirren, who had a very small role, but it was a delight every time she was on the screen. And of course, that feeling of family and that bond is still ever present in this movie. Of course, as we saw in the trailers, this family is a little bit broken throughout the film, but you still feel that family bond. And then we get to those action set pieces. They're as big, bold, and wonderful as you're hoping going into this film. We have self-driving cars that are flooding the streets, flooding out of car garages. We have that big submarine sequence. We have the big swinging wrecking ball sequence. I mean, just so many great action set pieces here. Plus, all of the CGI and the graphics look fantastic. Not to mention, we get at least one legitimate race in. So I was so happy to see that. And I was so happy to see a nice little focus on cars again. Just kind of the beauty of cars, a little bit of car lingo, a little bit of car knowledge. So I enjoyed beautiful cars. And that's another staple in the franchise. But it seems that we turned the focus just a little bit back toward racing fast cars. And as the Fast and Furious series has done, I would say, since Fast 5, it knows what it wants to be these days, and it just executes that film. It doesn't take itself seriously. It is just fun, blockbuster action, and it's executed so well. From the very start of this movie all the way through to the very end, we are constantly entertained. We have the punchlines rolling. We have the action coming at you fast and furiously. So it fires on all cylinders, start to finish. But also, like almost all Fast and Furious movies, it does have its downsides. So I think a lot of people actually are liking the twists that are added into this film. I think they cheapened the whole experience just a little bit. So the big major reveal that happens near the end of the movie, you can forecast very early on. As soon as one event happens, it's blown about a third of the way through the film. So that one, meh. The second and arguably more vital one has to do with Dom as a character and, this whole joining Charlize Theron. That one was harder to predict. I don't know that you necessarily can predict it. And that's why I find it a little bit more cheap, because it's like, oh, okay, this came out of complete left field, and alright, I guess we're gonna just have to roll with it. And that has been the mantra of the Fast and Furious movies over at least the last 4 installments. Alright, I guess we're just gonna have to roll with it. And at points, that's fun. It makes for big, fun, blockbuster entertainment, like things with the submarine. All of that is just a lot of fun. However, the very end of our final action set piece asked me to suspend reality just a little bit too much. It completely just defies all logic and all laws of how fire works, of how cars work, of how explosions work. And it was too much. I was like, okay, come on. You'd be dead. And that has been the case several times throughout this film and others, but in this one in particular, it was kind of like, alright, we're stretching it just a little too far right here. Also, let's talk about Scott Eastwood. His character is completely pointless. I mean, he was a stand-in for Kurt Russell for much of the film, and to be honest, I would have just rather had Kurt Russell in on the action. So, they could have just completely cut that character. He was pointless, he was useless, not really needed. But overall, this delivered pretty much everything I was hoping it would deliver heading into the film. I don't think it's the best Fast and Furious movie. I think it's actually a step down from Furious 7. But it is still a very solid, fun entry into this long-standing franchise. So I definitely think if you are a fan of the Fast and the Furious movies, if you are a fan of big blockbuster entertainment, give this a full price ticket and see it on the biggest screen with the best sound system you possibly can. Because we all know when it comes to cars, when it comes to racing, when it comes to big action, the sound and the clarity of sound is so important. So I definitely give this full price, big screen ticket. So that has been my review of The Fate of the Furious. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The Fate of the Furious? And what is your favorite installment in the Fast and the Furious franchise? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!